Nice means of measure for our
What's
progress.
the definition of that?
Nice means of measure.
Measure, okay. I thought there was another word.
No. Nice means of tracking our group progress. Eventually want to make like a big CD or something where we can all just listen to it. All right. So what we do here, Ryan, is we just ask like open-ended questions. So we'll start. What is the number 3?
First of the mind numbers.
The first of the what?
The mind numbers.
The first of the mind numbers. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I like that. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So in Pythagorean numerology, as it comes down from Hetty Templeton, it's 1, 4, 7 are all the physical numbers. 2, 5, and 8 are the spiritual numbers. And then 3, 6, and 9 are the mental numbers.
Interesting. I like that. That's cool. So, does anybody have anything else they want to say? About 3? It is a triangle. Yes, it is. Good. What else?
Favorite number, but I don't know why.
You don't know why? It's okay. It's all right. What else about 3? It is. It's the first shape. So 1 is a dot, 2 is a line, 3 is a shape. So it's giving manifest a destination. Because 1 is just everywhere, 2 is just a line, but 3 actually gives a specific destination to something. Yeah, like a specific location. What else?
Well, the Trinity.
It is. Good job. It is the Trinity. So what is the traditional Trinity?
Well, not Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Right?
That's what I think of. That's the traditional one.
Yeah. What if it was actually Father, Mother, Daughter? Wouldn't that make a little more sense? Because we all come from the mother. Father, mother, daughter. There's no life without, having, a daughter being born. Father, mother, daughter. So, to bounce off of Buffalo, 3 is the family unit. It represents location, triangulation, generation, generating a point in time. Also, father, mother, daughter is a generation. Multiplicity, collaboration. Now, when I say collaboration, 1 and 2 are working towards a single cause, and I'll show you what I mean. Fun. So, if 1 is a dot and 2 is a line, we have 2 sides. Okay, we have 2 sides. So let's look at a triangle. Already we're talking about triangles, Pythagoras and stuff. You're jumping ahead. You know what's gonna happen. Somebody knows what's gonna happen. All right. So we have 1. Here's 1. Here's 2. Now when we have 3, they're working towards a single cause. Right here. They're concentrating their will. They're concentrating into a single point. Okay? So 3 represents growth. Represents growth. It's the concentration of 2 units meeting at a single point. Therefore, it's the union of opposites. It's the union of opposites. When 2 sides of something try to meet at a single point, it is unifying opposite forces. So, inside the triangle, our veterans here, our new person kind of was touching on that already. What is inside our triangle?
The mind?
The mind, okay.
I don't know.
It's okay. Yeah, it's a mind number. Come on, Gracie, I know you know the answer.
Oh, I probably should.
The Pythagorean y.
Okay.
The Pythagorean y, okay? Within a triangle, we have a Pythagorean y. So Pythagorean y represents the descent of choice, okay? Here's 1, and 1 can make a choice inside our triangle, okay? So the Pythagorean y is representative of growth. So when we have a choice, when we make a choice in life, we are growing towards something. We are moving towards a specific destination. Remember I said 3 is like the first number of destination? It's like a specific location. So the Pythagorean y infers growth. Okay? So since 3 represents growth, it also represents the powers of imagination. To be able to move to a specific point, we have to imagine ourselves going there. There is no way around that. If we don't have our mind powers, our imagination powers, movement is basically null and void. Okay? So imagination infers illumination. When we imagine something, we are illuminating the possibilities. We are illuminating this, the Pythagorean y. So illumination infers progress, formulation, organization, and planning. When we move towards a specific decision, we have to make a plan. I really like the mind number. It's all kind of coming together now. So, when a decision is made, we have to make a plan, a route of operation where our willpower can abide by. The use of correct mental energy and patterns must be in tune with specific units of power. So, to progress, we have to attune ourselves to that progression. We have to align ourselves with our decision. So, the powers of 1 and 2 basically offer into the potencies of 3. And they arise, creating fruitful manifestation. So when our plans follow through, manifestation happens. The powers of 1, what's 1 in the tarot? The magician, good. And the powers of 2, what's 2? Good job. So the powers of 1 and 2 work in tandem to create the Empress, which is 3. So I was saying father, mother, daughter. Okay, the tarot represents that. The tarot represents that. Remember, 1 is a phallic-looking number. 2 is a feminine-looking number. It's receptive. It's receiving the 1. So it creates three. The Empress. The powers of self, conscious, will, heart, and intention, which represents the magician. The magician represents intention. The magician represents will. Address the virginal substance of the subconsciousness. So our nature is just a conglomerate of subconscious workings where all the cells work together, where all of our body parts work in tandem. So it addresses the mind and the waters of the high priestess to create the fertile womb of the Empress. Okay? The Empress is the powers of subconsciousness that have been acted upon. Okay? So, the Empress is the pregnant mother of subconsciousness. And it gives birth to patterns. So, 1 and 2 kind of are like the preamble of pattern, but once 3 happens, it defines a specific unit working together, like units in tandem. So it creates a pattern. The symbol of the 3, we talked about this last week a little bit. The symbol of the 3 literally looks like a pregnant woman. Right? It's the fertilized mother. So, what else does 3 look like? What is it half of? 8, which represents what? Infinity. All right. So, when a when a male and a woman create life, they create a baby. They are only seeing half of the infinite sign. So procreation is how our species continues on. Is how the patterns of the cosmos express themselves. Okay? So when a child is conceived, we are seeing part of the infinity sign. We are seeing part of the infinite motion of the universe. Only part. So therefore, 3 represents half of the infinite motion of all things. Kind of a trip. So the mother sees part of herself in the child. The means of her genetic material being passed on for eons to come. So she's not going to see, 10 generations down. But there's the inference that there will be that infinite push forward. Okay? So, she only sees part of her flowing subconscious pattern in her child. Here's the baby. Here's the baby. She only sees part of it, but she knows that imprint is there. Or a father, father, mother, whatever. You see the imprint? This is my imprint on the infinite motion of the universe. My child. Okay. Deciding what type of vibratory patterns we choose is what we're going to put into the subconsciousness, to the mass subconsciousness. So we all are a part of this subconscious building block. So, my cells are operating subconsciously, your cells are operating subconsciously. They all are being controlled by this mental force that we don't have to think about our cells dividing. It just happens. We don't have to think about our blood pumping. It just happens. It just is there. So when we carry ourselves in certain ways, we are programming our subconsciousness to act certain ways. So 3 represents only a part of this infinite subconscious momentum. So we're going to move on to Venus. So the Empress is assigned to 3, and Venus is the planet that's assigned to the Empress. Everybody with me? Everybody with it? All right. So, what is Venus energy? What is Venusian energy?
It's very feminine.
It is very feminine. Yeah, Venus is a feminine force. Good. What else? Love. Venus is associated to love. And what is love?
Connection.
It is. Good. Yeah. Love is a cohesive force. When we love something, we are trying to bind to it. We are trying to magnetize ourselves towards something. I don't really like the word love. I like the word cohesion. I feel like love is like really overused. It's like an overused word.
It's a lot of connotations.
A lot of connotations. Just I feel like people that don't know what they're talking about metaphysically say love all the time. So I really don't like to use that word. I like magnetism, cohesion.
I know in a lot of other cultures they like tiptoe around the word love or just have different ways of expressing it, explaining it. They don't have like that bold faced word used over and over.
Right. It's an overused and abused word, but I mean it's there. So Venus is the power of nature. Her color is green. Plants, they're green. Okay? Venus is the color green. So nature is the subconsciousness that's been fertilized into certain patterns. So you know I was saying everything has this invisible mental working. Even the plants do. Their cells are growing and working their way. We're just more aware about it.
Green is supposed to be the heart chakra.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, green is the heart chakra. Nice. I'm not that versed in chakras. Awesome. So, our physical reality, nature, we live in nature, was basically touched by superconsciousness. So our reality was created by superconsciousness. So Venus energy was created by superconsciousness. Mars energy created by superconsciousness. Okay. The Virgin Mother of Water was touched by this thing and it created life. Every thought and movement of the natural world is a product of what was and is to come. Every product of the natural world everything in the natural world is a product of what was and is to come. So even though we don't know it yet, we are a part of the future. Well, we do know it. We do know it. We are the future. We're making the future, right? So it means progression, natural progression. So all form is set to a specific pattern and formulation. The means of limitation in its most natural and mundane sense. So pattern infers limitation. When there is a pattern of something, it infers limitation. Okay, we'll talk about that in a growth and death are means of expressing this power. If we didn't die, there'd be no limitation. There would be like we would infinitely be with time. Imagine that. No. Gracie's like, no. That doesn't sound good.
Well, you think there'd be other limitations though, like form, if we were still in our bodies.
There would be. Yeah. The natural world, yeah, Mitch is correct. The natural world is limitation. It is limitation. So things arise and are augmented to the patterns and means of evolution and natural law. So in evolution, when evolution happens by mutation. Okay, mutation is evolution, but only specific traits are chosen. So, say we're on an island and there's all these turtles walking around, right? And the fruits of the trees are really high, and the turtles have to stretch their necks to reach the fruit of the tree to eat. So some of the turtles have really tight shells around their necks and they can't reach. And they can't eat as much as the turtle with the opened up shell. So the turtles that have the opened up shell, they're going to be able to reach higher and eat more. So they're going to survive longer, and their genetic material is going to be passed along more, because more of them are going to survive. So evolution and natural law causes them to live longer, causes them to procreate more.
So it's kind of breaking the pattern, but then following a different pattern as well.
It is. It's a recombination. It's like a reorganizing. And evolution happens by the family unit, by procreation. So, the Venusian energy represents this evolution, because 1 is a dot, 2 is just a line, but 3 represents a shape. That's evolution. So, it also represents beauty in all things that happen. Venus is represented with beauty. And emotion that is the product of such acts. So when we see something beautiful, how does it make us feel?
Good.
Makes us feel good. Yeah. Yeah, so she's associated with beauty and the emotions that arise from beauty.
Quick question.
Yes.
If she's associated with beauty, would you say that she is also associated with subjectivity as opposed to objectivity? Because, well, as the saying goes, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Can't refer to one singular beauty that is beautiful to everyone.
This is true. This is true. So she could be assigned to that subjectivity, right? I like that.
Especially given that Venus is also associated with materialism, wealth, resources.
Yeah.
And 3 is a mind number. If beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it depends on the beholder's mind, specifically what they consider beautiful.
It makes me think too, like with the idea of like evolution, maybe using the word beautiful kind of as the same as like what's useful or like what works. Like the turtle with the longer neck is more beautiful in the eye of the habitat that it's in.
Good. We're really getting down to the theory here. Nice. So, what else? So, if beauty is associated to subjectivity, what is the opposite of beauty? We were kind of touching on that already. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What's the opposite of beauty?
Ugly.
Ugly. Right? You're gonna think a flower is nice and pretty, and I'm like, those colors. Right? Right? We all have a feeling about what beauty is. So some opposite emotions of beauty would be sadness, suffering,
Disgust.
Disgust. That's a good one. So to know beauty, we have to kind of know these other things, what we don't like. To know what we like, we have to know what we don't like. Good. So the emotions are kind of like, it's kind of weird because the intellect and emotions are so tied up. It's almost like emotional intelligence and mental intelligence.
Which is the one and the two become the three.
Good. It is. The emotional intelligence and the mental intelligence. The mental intelligence is 1, 2 is the emotional intelligence. I love it. Good. So, the products and acts of physical nature has given humanity emotional power. The means of determining the phases of what's right and wrong. With proper emotional attunement to the code of emotional law, emotions are a natural thing, like throughout our evolution, we've developed these feelings. So somewhere in our cosmic blueprint, it was intended to be so. Emotions is a natural programming, so it was intended to be so. It was intended to be so. So we attune ourselves to this code, to this emotional code. And that's what bestows the righteous man. I feel that way. That's the right way. That's what makes somebody righteous, right? Their emotions, their emotional drive. So, Venus, therefore, is the product that is not ever finished in its production because she represents nature. Nature is always going to evolve. Venusian energy will never be set in stone. None of these energies are, but especially nature energy. It's always evolving, always trying to make like a new outlook, a new perspective. So it's always in production, always producing, always regenerating. And it's through the refinement of subconscious patterning. So the turtles that had the really long neck, they refined themselves. They refined their genetic material. Okay? And that was through the foundation of subconscious nature from the past. Now, the subconscious nature programming their shells to be wider so they can reach higher, that's the past meeting the future. That is the past meeting the future. Okay? And this is when it gets kind of trippy. So the molding of the subconscious past is molding the future. So no matter how far we try to get away from the past, it's always kind of going to be there in our evolutionary pattern. Like there's no way around it. Okay. So the symbol of Venus looks like a human, kind of. I'll show you guys what I mean. I'll show you guys what I mean. Who knows the symbol? Does anybody want to draw it? You want to draw it? Yeah, come on up. Thank you, Ryan. This is we do participation here. Excellent. Thank you. You want to point to the head and the arms and such and whatnot?
Head, arms, body.
Legs.
No feet.
No feet. Yeah, no feet. This person's levitating. That's where we all want to get to, right? Levitation. All right, yeah. So the Venus symbol looks like a human. That's why she represents nature. We're a product of nature. We're growing with nature. We are evolving with nature. us as humans, not only are we evolving, but we are influencing nature itself. I mean, look at how our world is changing. It's heating up. You know, we are making nature evolve with us. You know, we are evolving into a modern, well, I don't think it's modern, but we're evolving in a pattern that's new. So only the past 200-300 years has industrialization really taken hold. And nature is not evolving as fast as humanity is. Nature is not evolving as fast as humanity. So the symbol of Venus looks like a human. The man or the person that shapes the world around him. Okay? We are constantly shaping our realities. We're constantly shaping our earth. So this represents the interplay of emotionally evolved creatures interacting with nature, interacting with lower realms of being. Okay? So global warming is affecting not only our subconsciousness, because things are heating up and we're getting like worried, like, oh my gosh, where's the planet going? But it's affecting the whole subconscious foundation of the world. Like, you know, plants are having to evolve. You know, animals are kind of freaking out. A lot of animals are dying because of what we're doing. So it's really all everything working together. Okay. The individuals, you know how I was saying, no matter how hard we try to get away from previous subconscious programming from other generations before us, it is even reflected socially. We are living in a system that was devised by men who lived 300 years ago. Even our social structure is imprinted with this subconscious programming.
Our society can change over time because people have different. I mean, we're powerful when we're alive. We have a lot more power than just the ideas of 500 years. We can definitely change our society over time.
We can, but the way our government system is set up kind of seems like it takes a really long time. And by the time we get a idea to the table where they can vote on it, the person's already dead. The hell? How does that work? We are ruled by a system that was created by men that are gone. So the patterns of modern socioeconomics are being dominated by intellectuals that existed in an age that did not comprehend our current state. Our social system is created by people that did not understand the modern man. So basically, I'll read you the whole thing that I wrote. The patterns of modern socioeconomics are being dominated by intellectuals that existed in an age that did not comprehend what the current state of humanity faces in this very moment. This is changing the subconscious programming of humanity towards a means of psychological programming that is based off of attraction via the means of monetization rather than using their physical, psychological capabilities for the means for reproductive behavior. So, you know, 500, 600, 700 years ago, you procreated with the strongest, you know, the one that could haul the most wheat. Like, they were like, oh, that guy can bring home a whole bunch of corn. Let's marry him. Now, it's kind of dominated by how much money do you have? You know, how is this going to benefit me? And it's changing our subconscious programming. So, the mass consciousness is slowly being changed from millions of years of programming. So, our bodies have been working towards where we're at. And And we've been programmed for millions of years towards where we are now. But the past 200 to 300 years is starting to change that growth pattern into a new way. It's pushing it into a new direction. So it's changing the waters of our subconsciousness. It's changing the waters of our foundational work. Okay? The light of the Great Spirit above that created the means of life uses the powers of emotion and intellect as a means of monetization, rather paper money. So you know how we said Venus is associated with luxury? That's how you spell it, right? That's how you spell it, right? How do you spell it?
Luxury.
Oh, U-E-R-Y?
I think it's just Luxury.
Okay. Yeah. All right, luxury. So if we look at like spiritual systems, how we like emotionally work together, how we are intellectually stimulated, that's the real gold. Not physical gold, but how we hold ourselves mentally, how we operate with our emotional nature. That's the real gold. That's the real monetization. And unfortunately, money changes how we think. It changes how we act emotionally. Okay? It's changing our flow of subconscious rivers and waters. So, this is the work of dark mages.
Oh, because I was gonna say, you know what else not changing patterns is fear. That's not fear. It's like
Let's talk about money for a second. Let's talk about money for a second. Luxury. Physical luxury. Spiritual luxury is emotional and intellectual wealth. Material luxury is money. So let's talk about money for a second. What did you say, Mitch?
I just said fear is like money.
Money is fear. We all fear how we're going to pay our bills. Fear. What else is money?
Necessity.
Unfortunately,
Commerce, we must use it.
Unfortunately, money is necessity, yes. So, need. What else is money? How about status? How about status? Some groups, the unawakened groups, status. Right.
It's kind of an energy, especially since like the dollar is no longer based on the gold standard, so it's not based in a physical material thing anymore. It's become its own energy.
It is. It has become its own energy. I don't think money would have any type of energy, though, beyond our reality. I don't think it would.
I call it fun coupons.
Fun coupons, yeah. It can buy material entertainment. So we could say entertainment. What's entertainment? What's entertainment?
Music.
Music, okay. What else?
Just what we consider beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good connection. Entertainment is also distraction. Huh?
Sometimes I could be idle, a way to make yourself idle.
Yeah, it's kind of like entertainment can go both ways. You know, we all find things different. We all find things, entertainment different levels. So it is idolization. It is an idol. What did I say? It's a distraction. What do we want to distract ourselves with? How do we want to program our subconscious waters? What kind of entertainment do we want to surround ourselves with? I mean, we could find this entertainment. This is kind of like an entertainment, right? Right? We're entertaining our intellectual minds to critically think in ways that aren't conventional. Right?
Usually through the senses, something that is very sensory of our five senses, right? That stimulates it.
Good. Entertainment is a sensory experience. I like that.
Be stimulating or dulling. Like I feel like lots of people when
Yeah.
they think of entertainment, they're like, I want to turn my brain off and watch something.
Right.
Listen to something.
Right. It can go both ways.
Or it can be stimulating.
Right. But lack of stimulation is also a sensory experience, though. Lack of stimulation is also a sensory experience. It's the recognition of lack of sensory experience. Right? Rest, lack of, feeling something. All right. So the powers of Venus are influenced by the means of paper money as physical manipulation. So money manipulates. Money is a manipulative force. It is. It changes how we think, it changes how we feel. And it was created by the Dark Mages. The Dark Mages wanted to manipulate society. So money is a manipulating force.
I think we all should grow more of our own food, so we don't have to rely so much on the money because we need the money to feed ourselves.
Good. Well, let's think about how we could get away from the money system for a second. We're not going to change it with 8 people in the group, but we can talk about ways that we can try to dodge having to use money. What's one way? Grow more food. And when we grow more food, we do what? We share. What else do we do?
Digital currency.
Digital currency? That's still kind of money, though, Mitch. Still kind of money.
We can build things, help people
Yeah.
utilize the resources that we have around us.
Good. So one way, and
Gaining skills instead of money.
skills. Yup. Remember I was saying, spiritual wealth is intellectual and emotional wealth. Is like intellectual and emotional, domain. So you said skills. Yeah, skills. That's a really good one.
So also value. So instead of thinking about the money, how we need to get more money, we think about what value can we create, and then when you create the value, you don't have to worry about what it is that you're trying to get the money for to feed yourself or take care of yourself, because the value that you create is what takes care of you.
Right.
I think a huge part of a lot of these things are community. Like
Yeah.
being able to share skills and know people who are willing to share what they have with you.
That's a good one. Community. That's the only way we'd be able to get away from all this.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Bring the community back, because we've been families have been separated. Everybody's been separated, and we're trying to do everything on our own instead of working together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Money has individualized our psychological well-being. So this is my money. That's your money. Definitely has created pockets of individualization for sure. Cool. So Venus loves vanity. That's why the Dark Mages, they started to understand the Venus power. Okay? And they're like, we know what to do here. We're going to create vanity through money. So Venus loves vanity. She likes to have intellectual and emotional wealth. Okay? So, we're going to kind of start to talk about the tree of life now. What's the tree of life?
That's kind of a loaded question. The Kabbalistic one or the
Yeah, the Kabbalistic one.
Come
comes from Judaic mysticism that was kind of corrupted by occult orders. Starts with number 1 at the very top, the highest, closest to God, and ends with number 10, which is the most important in this part of Earth.
Good. All right. Come to the right class. All right, so we use this to try to understand tarot. And Venus is here. It's associated to the emotional sphere, and it's assigned to 7. So number 7. All right. And 7, they say, is a number of perfection. It's a number of perfection. In the Bible, I don't like to quote the Bible too much, but it's significant. God rested on the 7th day. He was done working, even though I don't think it's ever done working. I say it, because God is an undefinable substance. Okay, it was not done working, even though it rested. So 7 is 1 step away from 8, and 8 is our infinity. In ancient times, there were 7 planetary powers. So since then, we've uncovered more, but the ancients recognized 7. So to understand and to gain true universal and spiritual knowledge, you have to sacrifice the potencies of the modern age and see into the beauty of nature. So we go ahead.
Last year you were talking about all the numbers trying to reach back to 1. And so if that's 7 and Empress is 3, that adds up to 10, which is 1 and 0.
Nice. So I'm going to show you guys something interesting. Venus is one of the only planet symbols that actually touch all the spheres on the tree, which is really, 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 really interesting. So we have our tree. Somebody want to draw the Venus symbol? Does anybody see it before I draw it? Where is it? Good. It's right there. It's one of the only planetary symbols that touches all the spheres. So 3 represents a family unit. It represents love, and love is cohesion. So the Venus symbol is cohesively intertwining all the spheres. So even when we look at the Kabbalistic tree, it represents unity of many things. So it represents convergence, collaboration, cohesion, and cohabitation. Because it's touching all of the spheres, it's cohabitating. It's a cohabitating substance. Nature needs to cohabitate or else it dies. Okay? Or else it dies. So the means of... I keep writing. I was writing away over here. It's ironic that the Venus symbol looks like a person because part of Hermetic Kabbalah is perfecting our inner spheres to a balanced, organized cohesion. And so it's kind of ironic. It looks like a person on the tree touching all the spheres. That's what makes the perfected human, so they say. So through the means of purified desire and emotional intellect, the portico of the subconsciousness reveals itself. And it reaches all the Sephiroth on the tree, creating unity. So, the 3 creates a triangle, again, but it's a means of a concentration to a single point, and this is the single point, working on all of our inner powers together, working on everything at once. So, desire, go ahead.
How about the Empress's path?
The Empress's path. Good question. Nice. We're going to move on. We're going to jump right into the next part. So, do you know where it's at?
I'm talking about it now.
Good job. You're going to fit in just fine here. Do you know what the letter assigned to it is? Nice. And what does that mean?
I don't know that one.
Oh, it's okay. That's why we're here to help each other. So, does anybody know what it means, Mitch? The door. It's the door. The door. Okay. What is our body? A vessel. A temple. And how did our temple come to be? I'm gonna draw it out of you. How did it come to be?
Through the giant door.
Through the Gynador! Yeah, exactly. Through the mother, father, daughter. Okay, our universe is a feminine dominant reality. And we all come through the door.
Well, some people are born through cesarean section, so they don't actually
Major door.
We gotta watch our technicalities with Mitch, okay? Well,
It's
go
like
ahead.
breaking in through the window instead of unlocking the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So nature is the door. And nature is a feminine force. It's the Venusian energy combined. Go ahead.
Well, what Mitch says is interesting because of the technological door. Like that's the more masculine door. If you're considering section coming from science being more male dominated in our world. So that's just an observation.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's a woman, regardless. How this door emerges.
Right.
Right, and then whatever. The other thought that's floating in my mind is just around hermaphrodites and intersex people. Like there is a contingency of people who don't really fall into this. I mean, I don't know how many of them are fertile. You know, people with XXY or XYY or various other combinations like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another. I think that it just points to the how big this is, or it's like we're just touching on one aspect. We're kind of simplifying things in a way.
Oh, we definitely are.
And then there's all this stuff out here that's outliers mostly.
Oh, we definitely are. I've always wondered, well, we won't get into that. We won't get into that.
The Hebrew letter looks like the number 7.
It does, doesn't it? Somebody should have. Is there Kabbalistic? Does somebody have the Tree of Life on their table? Yeah, why don't you pass that around? The letter Dalet or Daleth is on that card. Yeah, it's right there, the Hebrew letter. Looks just like this. You said it looks like a 7? It absolutely does, Gracie. It absolutely does. So it's right here. Now, in the Hermetic Kabbalah, they say that this is the door to the one substance, to the one thing. Okay? Now, the door is the portico, but I'll explain it more when we get to it. So, doors imply passage. So, doors, they open and close, and we pass through them. We pass through the mother to manifest into life. They also imply separation entrance, exit, convergence. So when a door is open, it is converging with something. Remember how I said the triangle is 2 points converging into a single point? The door represents convergence. A door also represents acceptance, rejection, secrets, and revelation. What is behind door number 2? What is behind door number 2? It represents secrets and revelation. So, the means of spirit uniting with physical force remains the secret of the ages, as science doesn't know how our reality started. They think they have a few ideas, but they aren't completely sure. So that's the secret behind the door of nature. The door of nature is, we don't know. What is behind door number 2? I do not know. All right? So, the door of creation. The door of creation is the great portico. It's the door to the other realm. So the portico is the door to the spirit realm. Via the acts of meditation, as insinuated by its word, meditation, medio, or the middle, can one accomplish access to the portico. So when we meditate, we are trying to gain access to the portico. The portico is what holds all knowledge. Remember how I said 1 represents the Akashic records? Everything that's happened and will be? Dalit, or the door, or the Empress, is the door to that. So, it's within our minds. We are a conglomerate. Our cells working together, our subconsciousness working all as one, is a conglomerate of the past millions and billions, maybe even trillions of years growing. So our mind is a product of that. Our emotions are a product of that. So if we get deep enough into our mind, we can access the portico. We can access the portico. So the brain is a combination of billions of years of growth from cosmic organization and pattern. When an individual oscillates and concentrates thought, they can achieve the answers and means of entrance into the portico. Although words can never suffice to this experience. Words will never suffice to this experience. The creation of life in our material realm does not have a specific language, as words and writings are means of humanly communication. Right? Words and writings is means of human communication. It wasn't created by, spirit. I don't think it was. Oh, if anybody wants to disagree or add, I love hearing from you guys.
What wasn't created by spirit?
Language.
One of my favorite theory about language is, Terence McKennan's theory about language, which is that it's mushroom spores on another planet float up, and then they drift throughout space, and then they land here, and then people eat the mushroom. You eat too much of a psychedelic mushroom, you start to have this split, and it feels like you're talking to the mushroom. And so Terence McKinnon believes that language came from that encounter. Similarly, Laurie Anderson and William Burroughs point to that in their song "Language is a Virus from Outer Space." So that's another, potential. Again, was it spirit? If it's a magic mushroom, or if it's a virus, I don't know that that's any more spirit than a person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that, it's just a different way of talking about the origins of language. One that I kind of like, actually.
Yeah.
Because language is, the thing about language, and I think it's fascinating, is that think of the countless languages that have been completely destroyed. Like, we've been around for 100,000 or 300 or 400,000 years speaking different languages. And we've had these kinds of cultures and civilizations where we have the exact same kinds of discussions as we're having right now. at a certain level. And we had the intellectual capacity for that hundreds of thousands of years ago. I'm convinced of it. And languages have come and gone through this time period that we just have no. It's only through writing, I think, that we finally begin to calcify.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
No, I totally agree. That's actually really good insight. Really good insight. Yeah, when we write, we are solidifying language. We are like imprinting it more into like that subconscious patterning. You know, he brings up, Buffalo brings up a really good point. Let's think about the language of the Egyptians. I mean, we still have their writings and their, symbolic, hieroglyphs. Language is kind of lost, though. Yeah, it's really good insight. Thank you. So, that's funny. Writings are means of humanly communication, but rather the effective manipulation of the astral light and ways and means of communicating through this door. So, we'll talk more about the astral light in a little bit. So, when we have pure intention and desire, the portico accepts one into entry. When we have pure intention to look into the portico or to walk through the portico, it will accept us. So now more than ever, if you try, you can reach the portico. There are not, like 200, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 500 years ago, it was a lot harder to get entry into the Akashic records, into the portico, because there were so many people trying to gain entry through spiritual means, through meditation, through prayer, through observance. But because humanity is moving away from those things, it's a lot easier to access it. So therefore, it is you don't have to like try as hard to gain access to it because there aren't that many recipients. So
Sounds like supply and demand.
supply and demand. The portico wants to supply us, but the people that want it, there aren't as many as there were before. So it will grant access to those that are willing, because the people that are willing is very few now. Very few people. So when we meditate, the door opens. We are mediating physical and spiritual reality. Okay? So when we use the tarot to explore these things, we are accessing the portico. It is a tool to access this mystical knowledge. It's a tool to access these teachings. That's why it was given to us.
Sounds like art and music too.
Yeah. Yeah, art and music is another way. You'll have some painter, they'll paint, this beautiful thing. Man, where did you get that inspiration? I don't know. I was just channeling, some energy, and it just started to take me over, and I started like painting this beautiful thing. The portico opened up. The door opened up. So ultimately, it's about how we carry ourselves, what we have intention for, what we have will for, what we have concentration for. So I want to show you guys something, and then we'll move on. Here are the zodiacal signs. So we have the 12 zodiacal signs in Hokmah. And in Bina, we have the cosmic mother, which is assigned to Saturn. Now, what is Saturn?
Constricting force.
It's a constricting force. So when we concentrate, when we use meditation and we concentrate on a specific subject and we oscillate our minds around it, we are gaining access through the cosmic mother. So it's interesting because the Empress is so tied up with so many different energies. I was like, oh man, this is very complex. Okay, so this sphere right here is the third sphere, and the Empress is the third major arcana. and it's also connected to the cosmic mother. So like the portico is almost like it's almost like the Empress and Vina at the same time. It's almost both at the same time. Cool. All right. So we kind of just covered all that. All right. So now we're gonna do something fun. All right, guys. See the decks in front of you? We're gonna do a little. We're gonna do a little experiment. I'd like you to pull out the Empress. Everybody that has a tarot deck in front of them. The Empress, the Hangman, and the Devil. If you'd like to participate. We're gonna learn what the astral light is and the portico. Okay. So the Empress, the Hangman, and the Devil. So, what number is the Devil?
Like 15.
Yeah, 15. What number is Hangman?
Is it 7?
17.
No.
12.
12! You know what? I brought gifts for you guys today. I forgot to hand them out. I was going to be like, all right, whoever got a question right, it's a gift. I think you need a homemade candle. Is that good for you?
Oh, sure.
All right, cool. Handmade by yours truly.
Put it in by.
Good job. Okay. So, we have 15. We have 12. And we have Empress energy, 3. So 3 plus 12 equals 15. Now, there's this thing called the astral light. Does anybody know what it is? No? Okay, astral light. So the astral light is the vibrating substance that creates our reality. So it's everywhere at once. So something that's everywhere at once and moving is elusive in nature. If something is everywhere at once, it's very diluted. It's a diluted substance. Okay, so it's very elusive. It's hard to find a pure subject, a pure sample of the astrolight. So the astrolight is what penetrates all things in our reality. It doesn't go into the spiritual realm. It's just a physical vibratory substance. So the astral light is nature. Okay. Now there's this guy named Eliphas Levi who associated the astral light to the devil. The devil represents the material world, all things that represent material. So money, greed, selfishness. It also represents sex, lust. Okay. The Empress represents everything that is beautiful in nature. Okay? It represents everything that's beautiful in nature. Now, if the Hangman represents what?
Looking at things from a different perspective.
Reversal. So, when we reverse the beauty of Empress energy, the things that make us feel good, we get this. All right? we get this, we get the devil. So through reversing ugliness, through reversing things we don't like, we get the opposite of that. So if we don't like something, what's the opposite? We like it. We see beauty in it. So essentially what I'm trying to show you guys is that the devil operates through this. Through knowing beauty, we also know pain. We know strife. And to neutralize it, we have to see the opposite of something. So if we're in a shitty situation, say our car breaks down. Say our car breaks down, okay? That's a shitty situation. What's a positive we could find from that?
It broke down because if we were to keep on going, we might have got hit by another car.
Good. Possibility. I like that. Possibility. It changes possibilities.
Have to build community in order to function.
That is exactly what I was actually going to go on to try to jump on to. Good thinking. I love it. So our car breaks down. We can hang out with friends more. We can ask people for rides, right? That's a positive thing. So we're taking something that's perceived as negative, and we're taking control of the situation by reversing the powers, by reversing our subconscious thinking, by reversing how we see or feel about something. Right? We can start to see the beauty in it. So it's so important to understand this concept of the astral light and the Empress and the portico. Okay? When we're in a bad situation, when we're in a devil situation, when we're in a perceived negative situation, and we reverse it, and we send it back into the portico where it came from, because all the astral light came from the portico, it disseminates it. It kills it off. So the means to true spiritual understanding or true adeptship, we have to conquer the astral light. We have to conquer the perceived negative workings in our cosmos, in our nature. Okay? The devil works through the astral light. All negativity works through the astral light to try to bring us down. Okay? So we always need to try to keep our hangman energy going. See, okay, what's the other side of this negative situation? Perceived negative. We need to try to stay positive, because the more we think positively, the more we're programming our subconscious nature to think positively. We can see reversals in situations. We're programming our subconsciousness to be positive, and we're sending the negativity back into the portico where it came from. Okay? So, I hope you guys like that. That really blew my mind earlier this week. I was like, oh my god, this is wild. I made a YouTube video on it, and I was like, holy crap.
I think it's interesting since Lucifer is often associated as being the devil in some interpretations, and when he started questioning things, which could be considered trying to reverse his thoughts on it, he was no longer considered as beautiful as he was. He was considered thrown out of heaven.
Yeah. I was thinking about that detail too. The devil, Lucifer, the fallen angel. You know how I said the portico opened up and all things our material world descended from it? That's why the portico or the Empress birthed the devil energy. Not only did it birth beauty, but it birthed negativity too. And I think that's why she's tied up with both the spheres, the expansive and the contractive forces. Not only did she birth the expansive forces over here in Hokmah, or masculine energy, By nature, masculine energy expands. When men get excited, they expand. When women get excited, they contract. Right? But it burned like all this, other force, the opposite force. So it's Venus. Not only did she give birth to beauty, but she gave birth to negativity as well. So it's our job to distinguish the two and use hangman energy and reverse it. Find positivity in things.
And just going off of birth itself, it's very painful.
Good. We're really getting deep. So when mother gives birth to us, she's in pain. Not only that, when you birth, you start the first day to death. Our whole reality is ruled by this expansion and contraction. You're new here. I ask them every week or almost every other week. I was like, guys, can you find something in our reality that doesn't expand and contract? I can't think of anything. Yeah, right? It's like impossible. Cool. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, I was just thinking, because the vacuum is an absence of forces, but I don't know if that's the same thing as what you're saying. It's not really an object. Vacuum is.
Well, then you also, if you're talking about a vacuum of space.
Well, it could be space, or it could just be a space that is like sealed, so it becomes a vacuum.
Well, if you think about it, that's a contraction of the loss of stuff.
But the universe is expanding.
And contracting at the same time. They found that it doesn't actually just go one direction, it goes back and forth.
Yeah, physics is fun. Science is fun, especially when you can start tying it into mystical teachings. It's a lot of fun. Cool. So I hope you guys liked my spiel on the Hanged Man and the Empress. That when I realized that, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Cool.
Well, so I'm curious if the same formula might apply to the magician and the hanged man, and
Yep.
I'm not sure what 13 is, but there is that mirroring perhaps throughout these times.
You definitely are onto something. So part of the devil card is we do a reversing or defeating the devil or neutralizing the devil portion. And what we do is we go through all the major arcana and combine them. So we combine temperance, which is 14, and we combine the magician. So when we use our will and concentrate on our guardian angel, because temperance represents the holy guardian angel, we can neutralize the devil. When we use the powers of the Empress and the Hangman, we neutralize the devil. We neutralize negativity. So that's actually how tarot magic works. Okay? I don't know if you guys, some of us might believe in some things, but we use arithmetic and the major arcana energies. So the more we can comprehend these energies and these archetypes, the more we can use it for magical practice or spiritual practice. They're all kind of tied up. Magical and spiritual practice are kind of tied up. Can't really have one without the other. So, that's some tarot magic for you guys. Alright, cool. Why don't we move on to actual tarot cards? We're done with the theory. I didn't cover all the points I wanted to, but we've been doing this long enough. So, what's an Empress, guys? Let's get you guys thinking, get you guys talking with each other. That's what this group's all about, community. What's an Empress?
Ruler.
She is the ruler. She is the ruler. What else? We're looking at the card now. I know it's in there. What else is she? Mother. She is a mother. Good job. Yes. What kind of mother? Is she nurturing? Yes, she is. She's the nurturing mother. I guess I lost my pen. She is the nurturing mother. Good. Why would the Empress come before the Emperor in the tarot?
You can't have men without a mom.
Good. The people that devised the tarot hundreds of years ago, possibly thousands, realized that there is no emperor without an empress. They looked around in their natural reality and they realized, man, these men, they think they got their rule in this game, but they really aren't. That's why it's father, mother, daughter. It's father, mother, daughter. So she is the ruler, and she's the nurturing mother. I love it. And that's why she comes before the emperor. Go ahead.
So basically, there's no order if there's no creation first, because there's nothing to put in order.
Right. Exactly. She is the creation. She is the creation. Good. What else?
Wouldn't creation be kind of an expansive energy?
Mm-hmm. It is. It is an expansive energy. We're seeing possibility. When we create something, we are putting our will towards a set direction. How about this? So the tarot and the Bible are kind of actually like really tied in with each other. The Bible is the most popular spell book in the world. It's actually a book of spells. And the tarot found a lot of inspiration from the Bible. And the tarot only follows people that were touched by God. So God touched Adam, God touched Eve, God inseminated Mother Mary. Right? Is she a virgin? Well, she was touched by the Holy Ghost. So I think that the Empress is Mother Mary in a way. Because Jesus kind of has like emperor energy. He's kind of ruled the past 2,000 years, if you think about it. So, Empress is Mother Mary. She is the virginal substance of subconsciousness. So, she is a vessel of subconscious energy, and God touched it. God put Jesus in the womb. Fertilized. So, three is fertilized. Okay? And it fruited Jesus. So her powers represent the seed of creation. Okay? The potential of power. When Jesus was placed in the womb, that was power. That was potential. Okay? And the Empress represents the powers of, okay, so math and chemistry and biology, those are all sciences that act on the astral light. So remember how I said the astral light makes everything? So when we do science and math, we are acting on the astral light. Now, science and math, they almost have their own subconsciousness of their own. Like, it's in us, but it also has its own patterning. Like, the periodic table and mathematics and geometry, they all were made by guys that are dead. You know? So it has its own, like, subconscious patterning itself.
Was that a bad thing?
No. No, but what I'm trying to say is that it has like its own foundational subconsciousness, like independent of.
It has its own spirit.
Yeah, yeah, like it has its own like spiritual like manifestation into our reality. Basically science and mathematics is a means to measure the astral light.
It reminds me of like how business entity is recognized, at least in like America, like it's considered its own entity, like depending on how you set it up. Most of the time, like if the original founder of the business dies, the business itself is still considered a living entity, and like most people in America have a social security number, which is 9 digits, and business entities also have basically their own social security number, which is 9 digits, and they're treated as an individual, as an entity in America.
They're measuring the astral light. So our bodies are actually made of the astral light. That's why we have feelings of greed and lust and abuse of sexual power. You know, it's because we're made of the astral light. Our substance, our bodily substance, is the astral light. So good. We're really thinking about this. I liked what all you guys are saying. It's really good. It's resonating really, really well. I learned just as much from you as I try to show you guys. So thank you guys. It goes both ways. The best teacher is the one that asks questions and learns from the best guide, is willing to also receive. So it's like it's its own spiritual form, it's its own subconscious, being. Cool. So the Empress represents the powers of chemistry acted upon. So she births things out. So when chemists act upon the periodic table and they start to create things, they are implanting or trying to bring things to fruition in new combinations. So kind of like the three, bringing things to form. So she represents the potential and manifest of mathematics, the word that illuminates the mind. So when we create combination, we are illuminating the mind. And it's the evolution that comes of action. So when we act upon something, it is evolving it. Her word is concrete, heard throughout the empire, which sparks imagination and divine law. Her language is understood by all, but spoken by the few. So we all can understand it, but few can speak it. So she is the water that is acted upon. You know how I said water holds memory? When we talked about water holds memory last week? She is the water that's been acted upon. She's the water that's been acted upon. She's the fertilized egg of pattern. So, through the means of self-control, we can conquer the astral light within our bodies. So when we conquer our bodily functions in appropriate ways, I'm not saying don't have sex. I'm not saying, don't smoke a little weed sometimes, or I'm not saying don't have a drink or whatever. But the more temperance we can show over our astral light, the less we're gonna, hurt others. The less we're gonna, become fiends, as lack of a better term. Don't be fiendish. Drink, but don't drink too much. We don't want to be fiends. So unaided, the body will run in chaos, following impulse and greed. But when order is set into place, the mind and body turns back the powers of Saturn, and the portico of spirit is revealed. So the more we can temper our minds, the more we can temper our bodies, the closer we get to the portico. So let's look at the card. What does the stream represent? look at the card. We're gonna start to look at the artwork. What does the stream represent? Yeah, good, good. The stream represents the high priestess. So if anybody wants to look at their deck in front of them, the waters are flowing downward. The stream represents the veil of the high priestess flowing. So what does the bend in the river represent?
Pythagorean what?
Yeah, it could. I like that interpretation.
Maybe it means to change over time thing because it's river meanders flow to the like example of wind or what type of the natural life animals are living near a river, they can affect the pattern of the river bed.
I like that. Good. What else? How do we bend our lives? Mitch was kind of getting onto it. How do we change things in our life?
And making a conscious decision to do things differently.
And how do we do that?
By realizing we don't like the way we're doing things.
And how do we act upon that realization? It's in you.
Expect me to remember my words.
Through the will. We bend things with our will. Through the will. Through the want and desire to change. Realization, desire. So first we realize something, then we desire it, then we use the will to cause action. Right? We realize, oh, I realized I want to become a professional bowler. Well, how do we become a professional bowler? We start to go to the bowling alley. And we start chucking balls down the lane, right? We are willing to practice. We use our will to get what we desire. So we realize, we desire, we will it into action. There's 4 steps. Do. So the bend is the little animals and the creatures willing it and changing it to bend. Good. And the magician energy is the will, is the desire nature, is the means of acting upon the altar, of changing his reality. So, can you see the letter Dalet in the water bend? You can kind of see it there, can't you? In the bend of the water. It's kind of a cool little detail. I like that one. Cool. So what do you think the water dripping down into the little pond represents? Mitch? Anyone? I didn't mean to put him on the spot. I apologize. What about you, Bailey? What do you think the water coming down from the waterfall into the water rippling outwards is?
Your effect on others, like this subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly it. So when we follow water and we act upon our waters, it waterfalls and ripples out. So if we're having a bad day and we go to work and our coworkers and we're being mean to our coworkers and we're like, I don't want to talk to you.
I want to bring quantum physics into it again. the ripples, the split light experiment where they shine a light through 2 really narrow slots, and if it's being observed, it creates like a ripple effect, like a ripple pattern. if it's not being observed, then there's just random protons, like they don't create the same ripple, and they land in different places. So I guess like because we can observe each other, it has that ripple effect. Whereas if we could not observe each other, then it wouldn't have an effect on each other. It would be random.
Good. And what is observance?
It's like it's separation.
Yeah, observance does imply separation. When we, well, okay, we want to look at something. Observance is concentration of the will. Like we are observing each other. We are intending to, right? We're intending to look at each other. Our will is being expressed to look at each other. We're concentrating our physical astral light to look at each other, to witness each other. So observance is kind of will too. Yeah, it's good. This is good stuff.
So we're having an effect on each other. If you don't look at the news, then it's not going to have an effect on you.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, don't look at the news. You won't be bothered by what's happening.
Well, do you think this is sort of just a hypothesis, but sometimes I wonder if the mass consciousness is so affected by you go out into public where other people are consuming that and more in tune with that consciousness, you will notice, you will get a feel for it without even reading the news. I don't know if that makes sense. You might not know literally what is going on, but you probably wouldn't surprise you.
Well, I was thinking too with the idea like if you're not observing the protons of light, they still have like a random landing pattern. Like an example I was thinking of is I did not know until someone told me. I didn't know because I don't look at the news. I didn't know that they passed a law in Michigan where you cannot be on your phone at all, like distracted driving. Like you can't be on your phone at all unless your car is parked, and that's like a new law that they passed. I didn't know about that except a friend told me. But if a friend hadn't told me because I'm not watching the news, it might not have an effect on me, but it could have a random effect. It could land on me randomly, and then I would know about it because I got pulled over.
Yep. We need awareness. We need awareness of certain things to an extent, right? Right. Awareness brings. So in like Buddhist practice, we have to know suffering to be able to become aware about it. So a lot of times, like they call it dukkha. So in Buddhist practice, dukkha is suffering. And to realize that we are suffering, we need to have awareness of it. So there's a certain level of acknowledgement of dukkha to be able to deal with it. And part of meditation and mindfulness and Buddhist practice is to experience something and let it go. You know, if we constantly are, focused on something that hurt our feelings, we keep reliving it. We are like holding on to that dukkha. So part of Buddhist practice and mindfulness meditation, or just meditation in general, is experiencing something and experiencing it and letting it go. Like we don't want to hold on to dukkha because there's so much dukkha in the world. You know, there's so much suffering in the world. Why do we want to cause more suffering than needed?
Sounds like
It is. I think that's where dookie came from. Honestly, I think that's where dookie came from. So I was working with my mindfulness meditation Buddhist teacher this morning, and you guys ever heard of like life is like a fire that's burning, like our bodies are like a spark of flame, and we're carrying around this flame, kind of something like that. So when we experience dukkha or suffering, throw the dukkha into the flame, let it burn, experience it, let it burn, and move on. She really liked that. She's like, that's a good one. That's a good one. I try to diversify my spiritual practice as much as possible. So I do like a Buddhist study once a week. All right, cool. So what does the wheat represent? Yeah, exactly. What is wheat though?
Monetary resource.
It is monetary resource. Yes. Food is a monetary resource. It is. It's a way of influencing people. You ever been at like a organization where they're like, come on over, we got pizza. We're gonna give you pizza and cookies and pop. Every time, yeah, to get people to show up. Yeah, we got free coffee. You know, it's a way to influence. I like that. Food is an influencer. That was good. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's sustenance. So if we can go hang out somewhere and get free pizza and cookies, we are sustaining our physical needs. We are sustaining our physical body. That's good. Sustenance. So it brings life. Wheat represents life. Wheat represents life. And so who remembers back in history where was it rye or wheat fields where it started to get the lysergic bacterium? Yeah, rye. A fungus. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, so food actually represents a means of intoxication as well. I mean, the more we let grapes ferment, make wine. So food is not only sustaining, but it can be intoxicating. You ever like went on a date with somebody and they made you dinner, and they made you a really, really good dinner, and you're like, oh my gosh, that food was so good. I'm like that much more attracted to this person now. It's a means of intoxication. It's a means of intoxication. Food is intoxicating. It speaks to our love nature. So it acts upon our subconscious programming. Okay. So back in the day, you know, somebody could cook a good meal. They're that much more attractive if they knew how to cook the meat or, create bread in a nice way. Made it that much more pleasurable. And when you have more food, you can have more what?
Children.
Good. You got a prize. You got a prize. So the wheat represents more subconsciousness to influence. The more kids you have, the more you imprint the mass subconsciousness, the mass brain. Okay?
Do you think that other means of reproduction too? I'm not saying they're as effective, but well, I don't really know. You were talking about politics, for example, as a method of reproduction, where you're reproducing your ideas onto other people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in. What did you say, Mitch?
I'm just saying there's other forms of reproduction besides sexual, reproduction of the physical body. And also, you can have children that are not your genetic offspring through adoption, for example. You could still love them as equally as you would a biological child.
Right.
And that way you wouldn't have a genetic imprint necessarily, but you would still have that mental, spiritual imprint because they would at least gain an imprint from those who raised them.
You guys are killing it.
I feel like it's still a necessary concept of resources. Politics and like adoption, you still have to have the resources to be able to bring these other people and support them.
Good. We're really thinking about this here. So, you're doing excellent for your first day, Ryan. Your insight is awesome. Ugh. So, yes, and yes, and yes. Our acts upon the wheat fields imprints the subconscious nature of humanity.
Just not to split hairs, but in this book here, she refers to it as corn and not wheat.
Oh,
I was just wondering if you think that.
Oh, that's because technically, I believe wait, was English, wasn't he British?
I mean, it's
I
like,
believe he was somewhere in there, but yeah, either way, in like Britain and whatnot, they consider any sort of wheat corn is the general name, and what we consider corn here in America is technically corn.
how about we just say grain?
That's pretty much what it means.
Yeah, grain. So grain. All right. So to get a nice grain field, we need to tend to it. To get, well-behaving kids, whether we adopt them or not, we need to tend to them. You'd be like, hey, don't steal that guy's pencil. He needs that pencil, right? We need to tend to our wheat field. If we don't tend to our wheat field, we're gonna get ergot. If we don't tend to our grain field, we're gonna get ergot. We're gonna go a little bit off the rocker, right? We don't tend to our grain field, we're gonna get rot. Actually, rot is caused by too much water, too much tending, too much nurturing. So there needs to be a good balance. Spoiled kids. Rotten, spoiled kids. You got nurtured too much.
what corporal punishment is wrong. I don't support spanking.
Hugs,
Hugs. Yep.
communication.
Yep. Yeah, we need to communicate well to be able to tend our wheat field. This is our wheat field, guys. This is our wheat field. This is us, our community. We're tending our wheat fields.
Even communication to ourselves.
Over nurturing could be overindulgence, too. Go ahead. Is somebody gonna say something? No. All right.
I was gonna say to apply it to the things other than like you were talking about with politics and trying to fight beliefs and whatnot. You can have you have to tend to your own beliefs of do the research, listen to what comes in, but also again with the overindulgence, take breaks, take steps back, find other things.
Right. Ryan brings up a really good point. We need the mass consciousness and we need like the people that came before, but to an extent, we need to think for ourselves too. So it's important to read books on tarot from people that really have studied it really hard in the past, but then to formulate our own ideas about it. So we need that spark of inspiration from the past, but we also need to use our own mental faculties to create our own ideas. Right?
Individual interpretation.
Individual interpretation, good. That's why I ask you guys. I'm like, what does this mean? Before I tell you guys what I think, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So, yeah, we're really getting good on this grain field. We're really hitting it hard. Excellent. We're gonna move on. Does anybody actually? Before we move on, does anybody have any burning desire to share what they see?
Well, it just feels like the grain civilization and there's nature in the background, and there's this doorway between them.
It's true. It's interesting you say that because I actually interpreted the grain to be mass consciousness. Like they all have little heads of fruit, and we can choose to eat certain fruits or we can choose to pass on certain fruits, right? So the mass consciousness has many different flavors of grain. What do we want to eat? What kind of grain do we want to put into our body, you know? Cool. Do you guys want to take a break? Or keep going? It's such a small group, let's just keep going. Yeah, so the grain, I actually interpreted it the same, Buffalo. I think we were kind of thinking the same. Like, yeah, it represents the different outlooks, the different fruitified minds of, the world of mass consciousness. What do we want to input into our body? What information would we want to pay attention to?
Well, yeah, some say that this agriculture is literal beginning of civilization. I think we begin to acknowledge that's not the case because we look at some of these larger structures that are made by hunter-gathering societies. But still, I think there is a lot to be said about that civilization, that grain field, going hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And also the Empress, all that, the hierarchy. I mean, you talk about it in that regard as well, because I think that probably hunter-gatherer societies were a lot less hierarchical in a certain sense than serfdoms, where you had one person controlling thousands of people. And then hunter-gathering societies, one person might be the main influencer for that tribe, that 20 or 50 people. Anyway, so I think there's something very much in this card for me about that nature in the background, civilization in the foreground, and this woman is sort of the portal between them, giving birth to. So whatever, that's sort of what I'm seeing in the card.
I love it. Yeah, literally, it's like as I was saying earlier, the Empress or three, it all ties into each other. The numerology, the astrology, the tarot symbolism, it all ties in. It represents the past meeting the present and the future meeting the present. You know, that's what three represents. Those two sides. So one side of the triangle is the past, the other side of the triangle is the future, and the tip is the present. That's how alchemy works. That's what alchemy is. Taking two things and mixing them to create a new substance. That's what chemistry is. This card represents alchemy, the alchemical triangle. We've been dancing around it the whole night. I haven't said it yet. It represents the alchemical triangle. There we go. I said it. Yeah, this is alchemy. That equation I showed you where the Empress energy plus the Hangman energy, that's tarot alchemy. That's tarot alchemy. If you want to break down a substance, you alchemize it down. You want to make a substance, you alchemize it up. Cool. All right, what does the shield represent? See the shield, the crest, it's like shaped like a heart. The Venus symbol on it. What do you guys think?
I like it has the green in the center, just like a separate color.
Good observation. Very true. Very true. Come such a long way, Gracie. It's beautiful to watch you grow. What do you think, Mitch? What do you think, Bailey? What do you think, Kevin? Mm-hmm. What does it look like it's made out of? Yeah, it does. What is cement? Rock? Solid? What's solid? What's something that can't be moved? Concrete. Concrete. It's concrete. You know how he said, how people say like, oh, that situation was concrete. There's no moving that situation. That's a concrete decision. So why would the Venus symbol be on a concrete shield? do you guys think?
Sturdy in nature.
Yeah, the sturdiness of nature. Even if we weren't, even if, which, you know, it's kind of grim to think about because I love all of you guys. Gosh, I used the word. I'm magnetically attracted to you guys. I feel the cohesion. Uh, Even if we weren't to exist in this room or humanity weren't to exist, nature would still go on. You know, the chipmunks would still chase each other. You know, the bunnies would still be eating the carrot in the field, and whatever else represents the concrete nature, natural force.
Gives me the idea of unconditional love. Yeah, sorry, using the word love, but there's the idea of unconditional love. It's like nature-ish.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to use the word love. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have, you know, talked about it like that. It's a nice word. It's a nice word. It's a nice word. It's just a little it's a little abused in my opinion. But that's just an opinion. All these things I'm telling you guys are opinions, by the way. They're interpretations that I've created. That this isn't the last word. There will never be a last word on tarot. Ever. It's an evolving spiritual system that's open to interpretation. Actually, I encourage you guys to make your own interpretations. I encourage it. I wish honestly, I want to see one of you guys lead one day. I want to see one of you guys study a card for like a couple weeks and put together a lesson. I would be really impressed. Really impressed. You could keep the money that day too. Keep the money. I'll promise that. Just tell me what day you want to do and we'll work it out. If anybody wants to take that challenge, let me know. Make a little tarot money. It's actually kind of good. It feels good. So,
I think the mother card is, represent Empress as the mother is a good card to refer to as love, as in my interpretation of love, that is more of a sacrificial. I put your needs before my own most of the time is how I interpret it. And this card has that energy. So
I love that you just gave that interpretation. So, yeah, the mother is kind of like a sacrificial energy, just like Ryan was saying. You know, the mother goes through an immense amount of pain to give birth to her child. Now, this is the Thoth Tarot, made by Mr. Crowley, and on his depiction of the Empress, he places a crane in the bottom left-hand corner with her young. Now, it was thought that the crane would feed its own heart to its young. Would feed its own heart to its young. And that aligns with Katharina's and Ryan's interpretation that the mother goes through an immense amount of pain and suffering to make sure that her young are healthy.
Kind of feels like how humans are treating nature. It's how nature's treating humans. Like humans are kind of outgrowing or like evolving past the natures, but it's like we're destroying nature in a way. But if nature's our mother, it's like she's sacrificing herself so that human civilization can grow.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. It's a very interesting perspective and dynamic. So I'm gonna actually write that down. What you said.
Because nature does temper civilization in some ways with like natural disasters,
Mm-hmm.
but still overall it's making more sacrifices in order for us to evolve.
Yeah, nature, the mother, is sacrificing herself for humanity. I love that. That's so beautiful. that kind of goes back to that whole birthing aspect too. We were talking about. It's okay. That's why we got him in picture frames. Protect the longevity of the cards. So yes and yes. Good job. Excellent.
Well, I did just finish reading Braiding Sweetgrass. I don't know if anybody else has had a pleasure of reading that book. And in there, the PhD scientist who writes that book from a Native American background does studies and shows that sweetgrass thrives when people pick it. So it's part of this card feels like it's a very kind of like this is one dynamic with nature. This is wheat and a shield and whatever else we might look at this card. And a different perspective about nature would be more along the lines of, I mean, seriously, if we wanted to leave something nice for people 300 years from now, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now.
Right.
Period. Like anybody would have a brain to figure that out. You don't want streets and cars and pollution for your great-great-grandchildren. If you care about nature, I mean, if you want to have a certain relationship with nature, I mean, so I think there's something about that comes up for me, this color.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting really deep into the Empress. You guys see how dense this card is? See how how many layers there are to the Empress? It's like it's really really gaining some good momentum here. I also want to add in there. There's certain like strains of mushrooms that do better being cultivated. Like working with humans. Like there are certain species of mushrooms that won't grow without humans, providing the correct environment. Kind of going along with your wheatgrass theory. So yes, domestication. There's a force of domestication with nature too. Dogs, cats, selective breeding is kind of what's coming to mind, which is a biology term. Selective breeding. You want to add something?
Well, yeah, but just again, I just feel like a lot of it revolves around a relationship with nature. So, you know, so like the Native Americans, I guess, right? I don't know, right? But the historical record suggests that they planted chestnut groves here and there. Or they did things with nature. When people got here from Europe, they were like, oh, it's wild. There's no rhyme or reason to this that we're seeing. But they saw it as being untamed nature with savages living in it, right? So that relationship that those people had with this very land that we're sitting on, right, for thousands of years was very, very, very different than the one that I have or that the people who made this deck have. And therefore, when we talk about nature, it's like we're not even talking about the same thing. Like these Native American elders would be like, oh, well, they're the Thunder People. They live in the north. And you're like, what do you mean? That's like a spiritual. How does that have anything to do with reality at all? But that's like they say that this looks like magic to somebody who doesn't know.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing. So when somebody from some other culture talks about something, anyway, so that just kind of, for me, that it's just interesting. I think there's a lot of duality in this card for me, right, in the moment between that. Whatever learnings there are about nature that, Native Americans have, that's different than the understanding that I have about nature.
Yeah. We're very diluted with the modern age to really get a good solid connection with nature for sure. Modern age has really diluted our perspective.
Constructed It can be a certain thing, and that has all these other implications with values and stuff to go along with it. It can be difficult to motivate yourself to like go outside or something, go outdoors. Just the word nature itself, we define what it is and construct that as its society. It can mean many things, in terms of the outdoors, or it could be the spirit of a thing, or its true beingness, for example. And there's, even other definitions of that language. So it can be confusing.
I think nature. Mitch brings up an interesting topic. Like we could say the nature of that being is uh, greedy, or the true nature of society, or nature implies bottom of the barrel substance.
I just had a thought, kind of what he said to what we were talking about earlier, and part mass production of things like wheat, the way society does it to supply enough to generate a profit, as opposed to in farther back of the card. What he was talking about is basically just to support the local community, which would be less, as we were talking about, focused on money and more just sustaining, as opposed to wheat, which is more about the crop.
It's good.
This is inspiring me to finish my unfinished tattoo that's supposed to say man hungry, so man is greedy.
Yay, inspiration.
Yeah.
Yay, inspiration. I love inspiration, especially when it comes from tarot. I did my job tonight. Somebody got inspired. We're going home. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're still gonna do divination tonight. I wanna do a nice divination session with you guys. We'll all trade readings with each other. All right. Does anybody any other burning sensation to share about the shield of Venus? I love it. You guys are talking more than I am now. That's what I want.
I really liked what you said about praying on the other card, maybe looking at sentimental that's the most good. Nice card.
I really like the Mr. Crowley deck. As different as his opinions were, he had some solid spiritual truths, some really solid stuff. As twisted and convoluted as some of the things that he did and wanted to share with others, he had some good stuff to say. So yeah, it is a nice deck of tarot cards. All right. So what does the 12 stars on the crown represent? So let's look at the crown. Good. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Does anybody have any insight?
I can't believe I didn't look up the answer, I guess. I kind of thought of something, but I don't know why. I don't know. No, I was looking at the hand plan. Because she is channeling between the divine and the material world, that crown kind of represents a relation between that, the divine and the manifested universe.
Yeah. Mitch hit it on the head. Mitch got it. So remember how I said that the Empress sits in between the Divine Father and the Divine Mother on the tree, on the Hermetic tree. The Divine Father holds the potential of the 12 zodiacal powers and 12 powers of the cosmos. She's like channeling it down from the cosmic masculine energy, from the spiritual masculine energy. Good. It's a good interpretation. Anything else? 12 stars.
What's the 1 and the 2?
Good. 12 is 1 and 2, which makes 3. I love it. That's really good. Mathematics. Anything else? Kind of speaks for itself, huh?
thing 2, each star has 5 points, so 12 times 5 is 60, which is 6, which is the number of unity.
That's really good. 6 is the number. Anything else?
Astrological signs.
Mm-hmm. The astrological signs, the zodiacal sign. Good. Anything else? How about the wreath? You see the wreath right underneath it? Yeah, what do you guys think about the wreath? What do leaves do? Photosynthesize. They transform light into energy. She's transforming the astral light into energy. Transforming that astral light. And of course, it's placed right on the third eye. So, we can draw correlations out the wazoo with that. Go ahead, Mitch. It's all about making connections. The best tarot readers and the best tarot mystics are the ones that can make all these connections and start to formulate like cohesive teachings, like mystical teachings. That's what we're doing here, trying to work those muscles. Work those muscles. Work the muscles. Work the brain muscle. Then we'll enter the portico. I've been like obsessing over the portico this week. Portico. Portico. And it's so funny because do you have the book out? I saw you had it in your hand. Okay. So in the book, Tarot of the Wisdom of the Ages, the Tarot by Paul Foster Case. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, good. It's called The Tarot by Paul Foster Case, The Wisdom of the Ages. It's like one sentence he has in the High Priestess chapter. He says, the High Priestess faces the portico. And I'm like, what is this portico thing? And I realized that 2 proceeds, it faces 3, and 3 is the door. Now a port is a means of entry and leaving, just like a door. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is trippy as heck. I'm getting chills telling you guys. I was like, the 3 is the portico. I was like, the 3 is the portico. And I started to lose my mind. I was like, oh my gosh. That's so wild. The Empress is the port of maternal life. The mother is the port of life. We come from the mother and eventually we'll go back to, well, we won't go back to the mother, but we'll go back to Mother Nature. Our bodies will die. So that is the portico. I tried to find a definition on the internet of portico. I could not find one. It's a very esoteric term. The only thing you will find is architecture stuff. The only thing you'll find is architecture. And a portico is a like a porch, porch, and it has columns. Now, if we use our imagination, legs are kind of like columns. Open the portico. Life is coming through.
So it's a liminal space.
It's a what?
Liminal space.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the space between the spirit realm and the physical world. Yeah.
Porch, doorway.
Yep. Porch, doorway. A port where ships come and go. Our ship of a body, our vessel. Somebody said vessel over here earlier in our discussion, a vessel. Yeah, vessel. Our bodies are a vessel coming from the porch, and we're going to go back to the porch. Port, excuse me. You guys are getting it now. I'm so excited. So excited. This has been such a fruitful session. This is a very dense card. I'm sorry, but you guys can handle it. Even our newcomer has been doing so well. Thank you. Hope to see you again soon. You're always welcome. All right. So, what does the scepter represent?
The expansive energy of creation.
Good. And what happens when we expand over something? And what is influence?
Reproduction.
Reproduction?
Well,
Will? What else?
Desire.
Desire, what else? It's a D word. Domain. 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 When we expand over something, we are expressing our domain. Oh, I'm going to wave my scepter in this direction and my domain will be manifested. My will over this certain area is going to be expressed. Go ahead, Mitch. Yes. What was the Lord of Dominion? Wasn't that the Two of Wands? Lord of Dominion? Three of Wands? Yeah. I have to go back in my notes. I'm going to look in this deck. I highly recommend this tarot deck, the Hermetic Tarot by Godfrey Dawson. Very nice tarot deck, very inspirational. The Hermetic Tarot?
No, I have all of that written down somewhere.
Yeah, it's in this deck. We can find out what it is right now.
Two of Wands, Lord of Dominion.
Yeah, Two of Wands, Lord of Dominion. And it's the guy in the castle, and he's got one wand in his hand, and one is like attached to the castle. Dominion, domain.
That's what my that card is with my contact registry.
Wow, thank you so much.
I don't think I knew what it meant when I said it, but this is the domain.
Thank you.
There's notes about your domain, but I'm not sure if it's the same interpretation of a word where it's D-E-M-E-S-N-E.
D-E-M. D-E-M-E-N-S-E.
Oh no, D-E-M-E-S-N-E.
Interesting spelling. Dem. Dem. Demi. What do you guys think? Dem. To be attracted to. What?
Usually means half, doesn't it?
Half of something.
Well, demi is like, I think of it in terms of like demisexual or demi-romantic, where it's
Yeah.
like it has to have a connection before any attraction happens.
Yeah, right. That's kind of where I was going with it too. There needs to be like some want before a connection is made, like you need to have a feeling about something before you proceed. Demigod, half god.
I don't know what that really is.
Yeah, basically half.
Half. That's good. We're touching on some good stuff. Cool. So D-E-M, I'm gonna look at that later. Cool. Anything else about the scepter? I love it when you guys talk more than I do. Cool. What does the gown and the symbols represent? What do you think the symbols are? What do they look like? How did you know that?
I don't know, they look more like roses from a distance than up close.
How did you know that? I'm so impressed. Honestly, I've been going on walks with my mom this week, and like on Monday, we're like walking in Frog Island Park, right, in Ipsy. And I have the tarot card in my hand. I'm like, Mom, what do you think this looks like? And she goes, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know either.
It's like the roses from the magician card, and the white is like the other flower that's on the magician card.
Good. What do roses represent?
Passion.
Hmm?
Passion.
Passions, yeah, totally.
The white was the lilies and kind of those abstract thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Good. What else do you guys think? We're almost done. Then we're going to take a break and we'll do like a 10 or 15-minute meditation. I want everybody to do divination tonight.
Definitely feels like it is combining the high priestess and magician energies in that blueprint with the right thought of high priestess and
Good.
manifesting creation of flowers and roses.
Actually, as soon as you said the magician, I realized she's got her hands in almost the same position.
Oh, it isn't. It is totally an Azavo so below, isn't it?
I was saying that with the lead too. It's yellow, the sky is yellow. That's what's
That's a good eye for detail, Ryan. Thank you. Good eye for detail. Gown. It's like maternal, very loose. This is what insinuates that she's a pregnant empress. Very loose gown.
Use the word insinuate. You said the word insinuate in the video like 3 times. Insinuation. Use the word insinuation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all suggestive. It is all suggestive. I mean, it's pictures. It's not definitive. It's interpretive. Insinuation, suggestive, interpretation. It's all like, open. Insinuation. I do like that word a lot. I use it a lot. I need to find a new word. Where's the thesaurus? I joke a lot, guys. I'm sorry. What else?
I just thought of a phrase.
What's that?
Manipulative insinuation. Isn't that annoying? Is that annoying?
No, it's not, because I like the word manipulation. A couple weeks ago, we had some people in. Were you guys were all here, right? Well, Ryan wasn't. Let's catch Ryan up. A couple weeks ago, I used the word manipulation, and somebody that's not here right now, obviously, was like, I don't like that word. And I'm like, why don't you like that word? They're like, you don't like the word because the mass consciousness put a bad connotation to it. It's because it's used in a negative way.
But if you think about it, she's using her willpower to manipulate.
You fit in so well here. Yes, transformation is manipulation. Good. Magnetism is manipulation. You ever notice how be like, I love you. You'll tell somebody you love them, and they'll either be repulsed or they'll be like, I love you too. That's that is transformation. That is manipulation. You're changing their energy. You're changing their vibration. Cool. All right. Just 2 more questions, then we'll be done. I know it's been a long session. All right. Okay. You guys I wrote 3 questions. Do you guys want to talk about the pearls, the cushions, or the trees in the background? We'll just do one. Then we'll stop. Pearls, cushions, or trees? You guys want to talk about? Cushions, okay.
I'm interested in the pearls.
Pearls,
I
okay.
don't know about the pearls.
You want to know about the pearls? So we have 2 pearls. Any other voices that want to be heard?
Like cushions are like low shirt.
Mitch, Catherine out of Buffalo. Do you guys want to vote?
Well, I vote for trees.
Oh, Buffalo wants to hang out in the trees.
That's the thing.
Of course. All right, so.
Ask me.
Okay, just go over all 3.
Oh,
Definitely.
all right, we're gonna.
Just card number 3.
We'll do all 3. We got to make it quick though, because we need to give people a bathroom and water break and let people's brains kind of decompress a little bit. I don't want to fry anybody out. So, what do the pearls represent? I'm not gonna say anything. I want you guys.
The oyster creates pearls because there's an irritant like pain, so it surrounds it and it's like a wound.
Good. What else?
In a way, it's kind of similar to that whole changing perspective thing. Also, because of the fact that it's not wasn't irritant, then it became something beautiful. But also, it kind of has to do with money too, right? Because it's like as humans, we ascribe value to this object that is kind of just like a what is it called? Not encapsulation, but it's a healing defense mechanism of this other organism. We just happen to value for some reason.
Good.
Rarity.
Mm-hmm. Good. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. I'm just gonna say one word: refinement. Refinement. That's all I'm gonna say. What do the cushions represent? Cushions, Bailey. Cushions. What do they represent? Yeah. Buffalo, you got anything on cushions?
Well, the one's red, the other's orange.
Yeah, what is it? Does it speak anything to you?
It's the red could be all the passion. Again, we talked about that so much. Or loyalty, maybe. Yeah, the orange is the second chakra, but we haven't read on the trying blank with the orange.
Energy.
Second chakra is about creativity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of the root chakra of red and creativity. Productive organs would be in the sacral chakra orange as well. I find it interesting that the cushions don't belong in that environment. Someone intentionally wanted her in this space to overlook whatever she's doing and set up the situation for her to be comfortable.
So red the first chakra and orange is the second. And it's 1, 2, 3 of them.
No, because the heart chakra is the 4th. We have the solar plexus. That one's yellow. So it's going to the 4th. Which makes some sense because Venus is the 4th planet in astrology, 5th in astrology in order.
1, 2, and 4 is 7, which is the root Sephiroth.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, 7th Sephiroth is Venus. Good. We like to talk about the Kabbalistic tree a lot here because they like all the tarot cards match up on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So trees, guys. Buffalo trees. Then we're done.
What draws me the most in the trees are the two that have the yellow trunks, which they are on either side of the river.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that there's the bend of the will and whatever, just like it extends into that. I guess that, if it didn't bend your will, then you wouldn't go through this But then trees are like nature, I suppose, generally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's on my mind.
I like it. Good thinking. We're getting the juices flowing. I love it.
If she's the bridge between the nature and civilization, that's where the comfort comes in with her domesticating nature. And if the trees in the background are the wild, it's the point where we have to bow to nature, where we can't domesticate something that's like, how like with wild cats, no matter, even if you raise them from cubs to adulthood, keep them in your house, tamed, whatever, they're still wild cats, and they will eventually, if given opportunity, attack and eat you. So there's some things we just have no control over.
That's good. Trees?
It's still the idea of like growth and photosynthesis.
Uh-huh. Autotroph. Good. Photosynthesis is an autotrophic phenomena. Autotroph means to produce your own food.
Okay.
Yeah, autotroph.
I think it's interesting that there's some trees in this one because, well, I don't know if you remember this. When we were talking about the magician card, or I think it was the magician, it might have been actually a different card. It was a different card. But this concept of wearing girdle, because he's got this girdle around him, and when you're doing forestry, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
if you there's this practice of controlling a tree.
Oh yeah.
Like by girdling it, you can kill the tree, but it's a very slow process. You basically cut a strip of bark that's 3 feet tall around, all the way around the trunk of the tree, and that basically kills the tree. So it's a very slow process, and it's considered cruel now. But yeah, that supports my theory that, but I haven't really developed it very much about the. But it's a reference to that, but not as in a lethal way with the magician. But he's like trying to control his life force, through this form of having like the cord around his waist. It's sort of referring to that girdling practice. I don't know how old of a practice that was.
It's interesting. Thank you. Anything else? We're going to take 5 and do just a very small meditation. I really want to do a lot of reading practice tonight. Anything else, guys? No? All right. We're going to take 5. We're going to do a 10 or 15-minute meditation, and then we're going to do a lot of tarot reading. For those of you that want to stay, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. Get some water, get a tea or coffee, and we will proceed. I really loved this group tonight, guys. It was good. Very intimate, very homey. Restroom, tea, cookies, snacks, water. You need to go smoke, go smoke. You out of here, man? Get out of here. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Pleasure having you. Here we are. Great. All right. Be safe out there, okay? Don't let the mass consciousness nature get you, man. Does this light turn on? Alright, be safe. Time's going on. Yeah. Bye guys, be safe. Thank you for coming in. Have a good night. Thank you. You too. That's so funny. I knew they were gonna start dating. I knew it in the back of my mind. I was like, those two are gonna date one day.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about divination. We didn't even talk about the divinatory aspects. It's a thick piece of Palo Santo wood. That is one nice thing about the scepter. They have very thick pieces of Palo Santo. They're not chintzy, you know. Look at those pieces. They're like the size of a finger. Yeah. Those are not chintzy at all. They should put thick cut. Yeah. Thick cut. Yeah, this is a thick Palo Santo. That sounds so sexual.
Oh, I like these amethyst pyramids.
They are very cool. I have a experience on that.
Oh, feel bad about
Oh, it's alright. Don't feel that. If she didn't want people touching her stuff, she wouldn't leave it out like this. She put it in like a case. A lot of us do like vibration. You pick up the chords and you're like, oh, does this resonate with me or whatever? I worked the psychic fair that was here today. There were so many people that came in. So many people. It was really surprising.
We're supposed to get a sign on Friday.
That was correct. It's just so saturated with physical shops right there.
It is.
Very saturated.
Business.
Yeah. Alright, we lost 3 people, so it's even a more intimate group. You wouldn't believe this, but 2 weeks ago, there was like 20 people here. 21 people. And then we lost them all. They're like, oh, this is way over my head, but you're hanging in there so well. You're doing good.
Actually, I think 8 years.
I can tell. You're doing really good. That's why we made this the advanced class, and then the beginners I'm inviting them to come Friday. So it was the natural progression of our veterans here. These 3 have been through the minor arcana all together, and it kind of like created this like spiritual tarot bond. So it's really cool. All right. So. This is what we will do. Can I get the coffee? And whenever you guys are ready, it's just us now, so whenever you're ready. Take your time, there's no rush. I knew you would like that. I knew it would put a smile on your face. It's funny. Hard not to laugh. I'm gonna make a new design for the squire. I think I'm gonna leave this, leave the Hans in here, but take out that and accentuate the Hans just a little bit more.
So they didn't know